John 15:17, as we begin our study this morning. The study is on friendship, and I thought I would teach this morning not only on God's friendship with us, but our friendship with Him, also about family, also about being a disciple, because these three things are closely related in the scriptural account of Jesus' life. And so we'll begin in John 15:12, where Jesus declares, "This is my commandment, that you love one another just as I loved you." So he hasn't even gone to the cross and died just yet, but he's going to. "This is my commandment, that you love one another as I loved you." And so this is the greatest of the commands from Jesus to his disciples for one another. It's his greatest command. Greatest commandment is love the Lord your God. And then you have this command for human beings to love each other. And he makes this declaration: no one has greater love than this, that he put his life down on behalf of his friends. And he uses this language of substitution. My life for yours, my life for yours. Now, I am grateful for the person who donated their stem cells for my bone marrow, but they didn't exactly die. Okay? They just spent a few hours in probably a very comfortable chair, got their stem cells taken out of their blood, and then the doctor even gives their blood back without the stem cells. And so they got the stem cell or the blood back in their body, and they went their way, and they were tired for a day or two. So not exactly dying for someone else, no matter how grateful I am, not exactly dying one person on behalf of another. But Jesus declares that there is no greater love than to put your life down. I mean, your life, to sacrifice your life. That's your whole future. You put your life down, and you think about it. You know, I look at it. I might have 10, 20, 30 years left, whatever it is. There are people in this room that may have 70 or 80 years left, or all we know. We hope so. And but whatever the number is, that you give up every future day, days of enjoyment, days of fulfillment, days of service in other ways. You give up every future day of your life so that another person might live and have the same thing. Now let's elevate that to a whole new level. Jesus gave up every future day of his life walking on planet Earth, and we know he would get his life back, but walking on planet Earth during the first advent so that we would have a future. Now, thanks to Jesus, our future has everlasting life. Everlasting life. You would have to admit, this is a whole new level. Okay, this isn't, I get to live out my next 3 decades and enjoy life. This is, I get to live out eternity in the presence of God, in the presence of Jesus, in the presence of other beloved saints in the Lord. And that is quite the exchange, quite the exchange. And he calls this, he says, no one has greater love than this. So we might as well start getting used to a certain expression here. And it's agape, A-G-A-P-E. And we're going to put the apostrophe there because it's pronounced agape. Agape. And agape is a special kind of love. It can include friendship. It can even include romantic love. It can include those things, but it truly is a no matter what, high, noble, great kind of love. And at the same time, you can love someone without being their friend. You can love someone without an ounce of affection or attraction. You can go to Denver Rescue Mission and serve there and see people that are not your friends. Their lives are destroyed, oftentimes with their participation. And they destroyed themselves, and you can still say, I love them, because this kind of love is wanting the highest and best for someone else. And how we identify it, the Lord's highest and best for someone else. And so no one has greater love than this, that he put down his life on behalf of his friends. Now, the second word is, we're going to call it Philoi. Philadelphia, city of brotherly love. Phila, friend. Adelphia, brotherly. Actually, Philadelphia means sisterly love, if you're going to be exact on the Greek. Kind of ironic there. It's a city of sisterly love. But I think they were actually using it in a conceptual and abstract way. So then, Jesus says, and I know what you're thinking right away, Jesus died for us. He showed that he had this great love for his friends. Now, a friend is something you have someone you have something in common with. Do you have hobbies? Do you have pastimes? What are some of the things that you enjoy doing? Someone name something. Sewing. Okay. Now we got sewing. Are there other people in this world who sew? And do you sew with them? Sewing group. Aha. You have sewing Philoi, sewing friends. Okay. You have something in common. You enjoy it in each other's company. And therefore, it's a friendship. You can bond over what kind of pet you have. You can bond over what sports team you follow. You can bond over all kinds of things, okay? But it's that, and then Jesus says if he lays down his life on his friends, people he has an emotional connection with because of their common interests, and then he says, you are my friends. Philoi, you are my friends if you do whatever I command you. You are my friends. So now we're not exactly in the book club with Jesus, okay? I mean, okay, we are, the Bible club. But we're not exactly in the friendly little garden club with Jesus. It's if you do whatever I command you. So what you have in common with Jesus and how you bond with him is based on what he commands us. You are my friends if you do what I command you. I'm telling you, we, of course, could not have had a better song to sing this morning than What a Friend We Have in Jesus. Those words are striking, and they're right on the mark. What a friend we have in Jesus. But in this lesson, we're going to be very challenged about what this friendship means. We're going to be very challenged because, number one, it's following the commands of Jesus. And I have this theory that the hardest command of Jesus to Christians is to love one another. Because Christians are weird, they're flawed, they're broken. Love one another. Love one another, he says. And then he goes on and says, I no longer call you slaves, because a slave does not know what his Lord is doing, but I have called you friends, because everything which I heard from my Father, I made known to you. Everything which I heard from my Father, I made known to you. I have called you friends. They do what he commands. He calls them friends. And then a friend has a special status. Okay. Some of you, like me, struggle with phone calls of strange people who want to sell me things and even want to defraud me of my money. So now we have this contact list in our phones, right? And if it pops up and it's my friend, I answer. If it's a strange number, I'm like, if you're someone I know, leave a message. If not, you're never going to hear from me. Okay? So anyway, just advice to you all about getting in touch with me, all right? Leave a message. Your number might be strange to me still. You understand that friendship means that you have this shared experience, and Jesus says two things. I'm going to share with you information. So the strange number calls, and they say, all we need is your social security number, and you get the $10 million from the Nigerian prince. All you have to do is share those 9 little numbers, and maybe your bank account routing number as well. And you get the money from the Nigerian prince or whatever, whoever it is. Okay? Jesus is saying, I am sharing information with me. You're going to know exactly what I'm doing. And then he says, you did not choose me, but I chose you. And I have, he says very simply, placed you. Placed you. Where are you right now? No, not right now. Where are you? Where are you? Where do you work? Where's your home? Who are your friends? Who are your neighbors? Sometimes this word, I have placed you, gets promoted up to, I have appointed you, like you're the bishop of something, you know. And it's not really that. It's just, I have placed you that you might go and bear fruit, and your fruit might remain, that whatever you ask the Father in my name, I to you. So you've got information from Jesus. You're informed because you're his friend. And he shares certain vital information with you about his plan, his church. He shares vital information with you. And then he puts you where you are, that you might go and bear fruit, wherever that is. Go and bear fruit. What communities are you in? What friendships do you have? You think about all of your peripheries. Okay, you know what a periphery is? Your neighborhood is the things that are near to you. So let's talk about these circles around your life. Okay. Your neighborhood is a periphery, right? Work, it's a periphery, right? Your hobby group is a periphery, right? These are peripheries, these are nearnesses. And you might think, well, you know, why am I a Broncos fan? And I might ask you the same question. All right? But on the other hand, you might say, God has placed me. And if I can relate, then that's a reason to go and bear fruit, the fruit of the gospel, the fruit of Christ-likeness. What's your periphery? Your family, your friends, your neighbors, your coworkers, wherever they are. Now your periphery can be anywhere in the world thanks to the internet. Your periphery can be overseas. And he says, notice what follows. That you might go and bear fruit, and that your fruit might remain. What kind of fruit remains? Let's picture together a bunch of bananas. And you buy them and they're slightly green. And then you go about everyday life and you turn around and now they're yellow. Now they're, I would say brown, but usually they're black on the outside and mushy on the inside. I know. Banana sales are going to go down in the local area. And then you walk in a room and it smells like rotting bananas, and this is in a very short time. That fruit does not remain. We went to this beautiful tropical orchard on Tahiti, and our friends pulled down this big bag of fruit for us, and we took it back to our place, and we put it down on the table. And they had this kind of fruit called a noni fruit. Apparently, it's coveted in some places. And the very next day, that noni fruit was mush fruit. It had rotted overnight. And that's not fruit that remains. So what kind of fruit remains? What kind of fruit can remain? Come on, give me a word here. Spiritual is the word. That's the right adjective, right? Spiritual fruit. It can remain. It can remain forever. We have a dear friend who's really suffered from cancer. He's in the hospital right now, and he heard from a friend that his long ago friend that he hasn't seen since high school is going to come visit him in the hospital now from out of town. And he's going to come and pay a visit. And this is a friend who isn't a believer, evidently. And so this one guy comes from way out and comes to him, and he's going to be gospel primed, ready. What do? You share the gospel. Is that guy saved? Is that fruit ever going to rot? It's really not. Not ever. Saved once for all time. Saved once for all time. That's forever fruit right there. That's forever fruit. And our friend, he has such a great attitude. He's just saying, well, what if my illness and my epic journey through cancer is about getting this one guy saved? Would you go through that to bring him to the Lord? Many of you have. And so he says that whatever you ask the Father in my name, I will give to you. So here it is. At last, we have the heavenly candy machine. And we just ask, and the little spiral thing twirls, and out comes a beautiful, manly husband. Cha-ching. Or out comes $1 million. Cha-ching. You can hear the cash register. Cha-ching. It's a heavenly candy machine. Well, of course we know. Ask anything according to my will. Ask anything in my name and you receive it. What do you think about this context? What do you think he's saying? Because he just said that you might go and bear fruit and your fruit might remain, that whatever you ask the Father in my name, I will give to you. Well, what are we asking the Father about in this context? What are we asking him about? Fruit, spiritual fruit, eternal fruit. So now we have the heavenly candy machine, which dispenses spiritual fruit. And because God respects human beings and lets them choose, indeed, as we should do also, we work all our prayers around this. Bring this person to the point where it's obvious that they should believe in Jesus, right? God's not going to believe for someone because he needs to let them make that choice for love to exist. But bring them to that point where it's so obvious. Create a bubble where instead of, who's on Dancing with the Stars tonight, it's, I really need to think about my eternal life. That's the kind of prayers. You think God will do that? So, I challenge you to just today, write down a few names. You can think it's your periphery. Random guy at work, don't even know his name. So you say, RGAW, random guy at work. Okay? The guy 2 doors down. So you have to say, GTDD, guy 2 doors down. Whatever it is, even if you don't know their names, but if you do know their names, I challenge you to write down 5 names, neighbors, co-workers, family members. Write down and ask anything related to spiritual fruit for their lives. Okay? Because Jesus is investing us with responsibility. Now, you pray this prayer, right? And then you notice that guy 2 doors down loses a loved one. And then you just sit on your hands. No, if you're going to pray that prayer, you better be ready to go 2 doors down and knock on the door and say, I heard of your grief. And I want you to know that I've already been praying for you. And I want to tell you about Jesus. Deal? Because if God's going to answer your prayer, God's going to answer your prayer. Got to have the courage to step into the fight, you know. He's doing that. Why not? Or if you're like, I'm super chicken, you know, I'm so terrible about sharing the gospel. Well, okay, Lord, let me just deputize someone to be that person as well. But it's your responsibility to either share directly or to deputize so that someone will. And that's fine. You know, I've been deputized before in my life. These things I command you, that you love one another. Okay. So Jesus is our friend. That declaration. What a friend we have in Jesus, because he has laid down his life for us and appointed us to responsibility because he's revealed his plan to us. Now, Romans 5, 6 through 8, because we're going to go beyond friendship. We're going to go beyond friendship. Romans 5, 6 through 8. For yet Christ, while we were weak, at the right season, he died for the ungodly. Now, you understand what I'm doing here. Jesus is looking at his disciples and saying, you're my friends, I'm going to die for you. And you ought to remember this in about 48 hours. Because he said that 48 hours or less before he died. Okay? Even less. 24 hours. But, so did he only die for the 12 disciples? No. Let's start putting a series of numbers up here. Did he only die for the 144,000? Okay, inside joke. This is what the Jehovah's Witnesses sometimes believe. That only 144,000 get to really go to heaven. Okay. So did he only die for 144,000 very special saints who are willing to go door to door and make enemies of everyone? All right? Yeah, and be rude and obnoxious along the way. Did he only die, and that's it's kind of curious, did he only die for his disciples? We're going to have an unknown number here. Only die for his disciples beyond this 12, but anyone who would call themselves a disciple. Did he only die for them? Okay. No. For whom did Christ die? Okay. So I think we can represent that with the infinity sign. All right. Jesus died for everyone. Well, after all, Romans 5 says, while we were weak at the right season, he died for the ungodly. So who are the ungodly? That would be, can we just, yeah, it would be everybody. Can we just be honest? For the ungodly. For the ungodly. He died for the ungodly. And then Paul writes, for someone will rarely die for a righteous man. Rarely die for a righteous man. He's talking about someone you don't even know. maybe you know by reputation. And you just know that he's a great guy. So you understand about the Secret Service of the United States of America, and that they are sworn to die and take a bullet for the president of our United States, right? And that they will intervene their body between a bullet and the president. That they will do this, right? And this may be a man that they don't even know, but sometimes there's a special category of person that will take a bullet. And I'm not even saying righteous here. I'm just saying for someone of great importance, because the consequences of an assassination are unthinkable. And they'd say, I'd rather die for my country than my country go through the unthinkable of an assassination. And sometimes they'll die like that. And I'm substituting important for righteous here. But someone, and then he goes on with his second point, someone will perhaps die for a good man. You know, you dare to die. And why is this? Let's speculate for a moment. Why is it a dare? And why is it so rare that someone will die for a righteous or a good man? Why is it a rare thing? Does every good person finish well? Not necessarily. You know, I'm theorizing here. You could die for this really good young person. And then they could, you never know, they could grow up to be an evil dictator. They could grow up to administer a genocide. They seem like a fine young person, you know. But maybe because you died for them, they start to have a guilt syndrome. And that guilt starts to get and twist inside their heads and go round and round. And before you know it, or some other thing happens before you know it, they're participating in evil. You don't know. So it's a gamble, right? I'm going to trade my life. He's a good guy, but how's it going to turn out? You know, how's it going to turn out? You don't know. You don't know. And so Paul writes that it's a gamble, that you dare to do this, to trade your life for another in the hopes that they do great things, that they go on to live their lives well. God proves his own love for us, that while we were sinners, Christ died for us. So are we, and then while we were sinners, so we're sinners. Are we good? Are we righteous? No, he doesn't say that, does he? What's our inclination before we believe? Slaves to sin. We're going to be in one expression or another. We're going to be, even if it's pride or whatever it is, we're going to express that sin. While we were sinners, Christ died for us. Now, out of all of the sinners, all of the ungodly that Jesus dies for, after dying for out of all of these, how many believe? How many go on to bear fruit? What's the best word you could put on this? What is it? Some. Some. Undefined number, but some do. Some do. But he risked his life for all. He risked his life for everybody. Because by risking his life, he gives everyone the potential for a godly life. Gives everyone a potential for a godly life. So I just wanted to expand out a little bit from this friendship thing. He doesn't die just for his friends. He dies for everyone that they might become his friends. Not everyone follows the commands of Jesus. Not everyone abides in him and his teaching, as John 8 says. You are my disciples if. Not everybody does that, but he dies for all that they might become his friends. And Jesus' death is the potential. To become a friend of his. So now we come to John 21, 15 to 23. John 21, 15 to 23. Friendship. And I'm going to tell you, as remarkable as this may sound from what we've learned so far, Jesus wants more than friends. Jesus wants more than friends. I want to tell you this. So Jesus has risen from the dead, and he's appeared to his disciples in Galilee. And after they ate breakfast, Jesus says to Simon Peter, and this is what Jesus says. He says, running out of room, he says, Simon, what's Peter's last name? Okay, good answer. I was going to stump you with that one. Simon, we're going to change it. Simon Jonasson. Okay, does it work for you? Works for me. Simon Jonasson. Sorry, I had to do that. Simon Jonasson, do you love me more than these? Jesus says, you love me. And he uses this agape word. You love me. You love me more than these. And he says to him, yes, Lord, you know that I love you. Peter says, this kind of love, friendship love. So what do Peter and Jesus have in common? Well, they went on this 3-year-long backpacking trip through the Holy Land. Okay, they had a lot of a shared experience together. But everything is exact in this passage. Jesus doesn't call Simon Peter the rock. He calls him Simon Jonasson. Why? I would submit to you that he's acting like he did before he followed Jesus. He's back to his old ways again. Simon Jonasson. Doesn't say Simon Peter. And he says, yes, Lord, you know that we're friends. And he says to him, feed my lamb. So, yeah, Jesus is our friend, and we're a friend of Jesus. But my question to you is, does Jesus want more than friendship from you? Yes, he does. Jesus wants more than friendship from you. So he says to him, feed my lambs. And he says to him again a second time, Simon Jonasson, do you love me? Here we go. Number 2. Do you love me? And Peter says to him, yes, Lord, you know that I love you. You know we're buddies. Does Jesus want more than friendship? And he says to him, shepherd my sheep. And he says to him the third time, Simon, Jonathan, do you love me? Guess what? And he says, are you my friend? What do you remember from just a week or two or three before when Jesus says, you are my friend if you fulfill my commands? Are you my friend? And Peter was grieved that he said to him the third time, do you love me? And he said to him, Lord, you know all things. You know that I love you. The third time he says, you know we're buddies. You know we're friends. And so you see up here at the top, Peter denied Christ thrice. What does that mean? 3 times. 3 times. Before the rooster crows, you will deny me. And he's done it again. 3 denials of Jesus Christ. 3 denials. And so, Peter was grieved that he said to him the third time, notice, the third time. What enters his mind as he does this for the third time? I've done it again. And he was grieved that he said friendship for the third time. All 3 times he says we're friends. He's lying. They're not. He's not a friend of Jesus at this moment in any way. He's denying it. And he said to him, Lord, you know all things. You know that I love you, that I'm your friend. Guess what? Says it again, 4th time. Jesus says to him, feed my sheep. And then Jesus says, truly, truly, I say to you, when you were younger, you girded yourself and went wherever you wanted. To gird means to clothe. Put your clothes on. Wherever you wanted. But when you are old, you will extend your hand and another will clothe you and carry you where you do not want. And this he said, signifying by what kind of death he would glorify God. And he says to him, feed my lambs, shepherd my sheep, feed my sheep. No, it says, follow me. Follow me. Wow. Because that's what a friend of Jesus does. He follows Jesus. And by the way, this is what we're doing in discipleship. We are creating people who love God. And that means no matter what. No matter what. You love God no matter what. Love God when things are going well. How about when things are challenging? You love God. You see, agape love, that's no matter what love. That's no matter what. He says to him, follow me. Because Peter is going to be led to his death. Sounds like execution, doesn't it? Because it is. Peter's going to be led to his death. So, here's the question now. What a friend we are in Jesus. To Jesus. What a friend we are to Jesus. Changing the words of the song. Maybe it'll stick in your head for a day or two. It's that kind of song. What a friend we are to Jesus. When we follow him everywhere. That's when we're a friend of Jesus. When things are going well, you follow him. When things are challenging, you follow him. When they come to get you, to execute you for your faith, you follow him. Follow him. So the question is, when are you a friend to Jesus? A little different. A little different. Any questions? Any comments? Any applications to share with the group? Because we don't leave till one person. The sacrificial lamb says, I have a question or I have a comment. That's right. That's right. Even the I want part. So good comment. Yeah. Yeah. You want to follow Jesus? You have to be submitted to him. You have to abide in him and his word. Absolutely. Absolutely. So what a friend we have in Jesus. But how about what a friend we are to Jesus? Let's pray. Oh Lord, your Son gave his all to us. We submit to him. In Jesus' name, amen.